Alright, so what I'm going to be doing today is refletching this. I had just one feather come off a few weeks ago when I was just shooting it. Just got to have one blue because that's my cock. I'm using that as my cock feather, and I'm just going to have two plain blue ones as my hens. Yeah, and then once I'm done with this one, I've got to finish fletching this one. I sort of got interrupted partway through fletching all of my arrows last time, so I had enough to get me by until now, so I'm going to come back and refletch them, or just add two blue hen feathers on this one, and then I've got three that I can hopefully set up with this same design, same pattern. So yeah, just thought I'd film it and shows how I go about it, and yeah, let's get into it. I'm using 4-inch shield cut feathers. These are just standard, your generic bloody Eastern Power Fights. You can buy these, I think it's $85 a dozen from where I get them, just down the road. I was shooting some gold tip traditional arrows, but kind of ran out of them. So yeah, just found a bunch of these just lying around, not getting used anymore, and instead of having to go spend hundreds of dollars on more arrows, I just thought I'd refletch the ones I've already got and go from there. I put a bit of a helical twist on them as well, right hand side, seeing as I am a right-handed archer. So before I get too carried away. Now I'm only using just Boning brand super glue pretty much. I just haven't invested in some hot melt glue to date, so it's definitely on the cards though. Trying to beat glue along all that and there, make sure it's not too thick. You don't want to have all the excess glue going all over the arrows. It just make a nice little thin coat. I tend to just get this edge sitting on the inside of there, and then you just sort of pivot it down because it's on the magnet now. You stick it in there and then you just slide it down and onto the arrow, and a bit of a firm press. That's not meant to happen. Could be time for a new fletching jig. This thing's just doesn't seem to want to clamp down on feathers as much anymore. And then yeah, you leave that for 15-20 seconds, wait for the glue to bond to the shaft, and then we'll be able to get working on this one. Alright. Rotate this around. This fletching jig is set up for 3 fletch at the moment. I can change it over to 4 fletch if I want to. I normally do 4 fletch. It's just something that I prefer the look of. I haven't noticed any performance benefits of going 3 fletch or 4 fletch. I haven't heard many differences in it either. I personally think it comes down to personal preference, and I like the look of it. And that's not everyone's cup of tea, but the only reason I'm going 3 fletch at the moment is purely because I currently don't actually have enough feathers to run 4 fletch. But that will change soonish. So again, just make sure it all lines up and slide it down and make sure she's on there nice and firmly, and then give it a couple seconds to set. You may have noticed on these 2 arrows I've got for my cock feather, I've got the black back half of the feather and then the front half's blue. All I've done is just cut the feathers clean in half and just match them up so that they, when I glue them onto the shaft, they can blend in together and make it look like one feather. I have the back parts of the blue and the front parts of the black sitting there as well. I'm going to be putting them on the next 3 arrows, so it'll be the opposite to what's on there now. But I'll use them as, yeah, I'll just be using them as my normal arrows. Eventually I'll rotate these into the cycle of my quiver and make them my 1, 2 and 3 arrows for when I'm out doing the ABA rounds out of Seaforth. Yeah, let's do the next feather now. I must apologise for not having the greatest of workbenches. I'm really stretched for space in my little unit at the moment. I'm been here for a couple of years now, and it's a great little unit and everything. Got one of my best mates living with me as well and whatnot. It's just, there's no real garage or shed. It's quite literally just a 2-bedroom unit with a dinky little carport out the front. That's it. So I just gotta make do with what I got, and so we're currently in my bedroom at the moment. Yeah, there's quite literally bugger all room in here. But yeah, a few more seconds I'll be able to flick over to a brand new arrow shaft. Alright, now one thing I always seem to forget, and I've got to get better at it, is remembering to focus on where I've got a little groove on the knock there. That's where I want my cock feather to line up with, up here somewhere. So I've got to make sure I rotate the fletching jig so I put the cock feather on first every time, just to remind myself to do it, that it needs to be done, and it's so that when I put the arrow on my string, my cock feather is pointing out, because the first thing I do when I put my arrow on the bow and ready to click it onto the string is I feel for that little raised section on that knock point, and I instantly stick that out away from the bow. So yeah, it's just something I need to do for myself. Now these things, yeah, I just line them up like normal. Okay. What I wasn't aware of was, while I was filming this, all my filming for now will be done on my phone, because I currently don't have the cash lying around to outlay onto an actual camera or GoPro or anything like that. So using my phone, got it set up in a little tripod and whatnot, looking fancy-ish. What I didn't realise while I was discussing about how to go about putting the cock feather, the 2-piece cock feather together in the clamp, that section there, my housemate decided that it would be an awesome time to call me, so I went for about another 10-15 minutes spiel about, well, probably not 10-15, probably another 5 minutes worth of me yapping and carrying on and talking arrows and whatnot, and then realised that, yeah, thought I'd cut the video off and fletch all the arrows and then give you a little bit of a final little video on the finished product, shows what I've achieved today. And yeah, it turns out because my housemate called me, it cancelled the video, it stopped recording. So what I'll do instead is I'll try and redo everything that you've missed with this arrow, because luckily I have 2 left. So again, remembering to rotate it over so that I'm doing my cock feather first. Alright, now this isn't far off where it cut off. So what I tend to do is up on the clamp here, you can see all these notches. I line my feather up with just on the right hand side of that first notch. With doing this, it's not exactly the easiest thing to see, but seeing that I've shortened the feather up, you can see an arc in this side's not too bad, it's pretty flat. This side though, you can see it's got a curve to it. So what that does is when it goes on the shaft, it'll create a gap between the feathers and the shaft right here in the middle. So what I end up doing is I'll get my little Stanley knife here, just real basic, but it's got a nice thin precise edge on it. So once I put that on the shaft, there'll be a little air gap there, so I'll just get the blade and I'll just get it in there nicely, and just enough pressure on that feather to push it down hard against the shaft, and then I'll let it sit there and set for a couple of seconds, and I'll take the blade away, and it seems to work okay. As you can see, there's no gap in that feather at all on either side. Same with this one over here. Yeah, so I'll give you a run through on how I do that real quick. So again, just thin line of glue. I am running out of glue though. I have to replenish all of my stocks before I fletch too many more arrows. I've got enough for today though, so that's all that matters. It's tomorrow Michael's job. Alright. Make sure she's sitting flat on that magnet at the back. Just press it down. Now then, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it, but you can see that it's actually the front feather that's come down, not the blue feather, so not the back. So, but there is a small gap there, so I'll press that down, and then I'll come over to the front and I'll press it down as well, and go down a couple of times. Put a bit of pressure on it. Job done. Give that time to set. And then these are just your basic generic Eastern Power Flight arrows. You can buy these, it's $85, $90 a dozen for shafts only. There's only 2 places in my area that I could go to buy archery gear, and they are pretty limited with their range. But these things still perform pretty well for what they are, for being pretty generic arrows and whatnot. They're great for beginners. But I do normally. I have been shooting some gold tip traditional shafts for the last 3 to 6 months. Somewhere in the last 6 months, I converted over to the gold tip traditionals. I converted them when at the same time as converting to my longbow, and it sort of just probably wasn't the smartest decision on my part, because I ended up ruining a few of the arrows. Since going to my longbow, I noticed all my just to begin with, all my arrows were dropping really, really short. I could never stay in the target. I was always missing low, and it's just getting my mind to transition from the recurve arrow trajectory to the longbow trajectory, and unfortunately it cost me a few arrows, so I've had to. I don't have enough of the gold tip traditional sitting there ready to go. So I went through my arrow stocks, and I found 12 of these power flights at 400 spine. Sort of just match it. They were all just exactly the same shaft. So I thought I'd fletch up 12 of them and go back to shooting them for a while until I can afford a few more. Okay, so after my housemate interrupted me for the second time, go Reese. I ended up finishing fletching on all the arrows. I actually found one of the arrows had a chip in it in the shaft itself up towards the tip, so that arrow actually cannot be used. It's not safe to shoot, so it's now in the rubbish arrow pile. Otherwise, yeah, they are all. That's just the last arrow with the last feather just setting. What I will do though is show you just the easiest way that I found to glue the inserts in, because you can see this arrow doesn't have an insert, the rest of them do. Got a spare insert and everything ready to go. So yeah, I'll just show you how to do that, how I do it real quick, and yeah, people will probably agree with it, some won't, but it's just how I do it, and it's how I'll probably always do it until someone can give me a reason not to. So same thing against saying glue though, everything I just tend to just put a thin layer back here at the base where all these ribs are. Doesn't have to be anything special, just a ring, thin glue. These inserts are that snug of a fit that they seem to the glue will spread pretty well, so once it's on, I tend to just bash it. Job done. It could be a little bit of excess glue. I don't really have any use for this bag anymore, so just wipe the glue on that. Just keep twisting so it doesn't glue to the bag. And there you go. Glued in insert. Job done. And then that's it. Cheers for watching that one.